Hey Sarah, you and I have some unfinished business, so I'm going to try and make a quick video for you. This is what I do for people I care about, is send love letters via video sometimes. Anyway, so first of all, let's clear the air. Yes, I did say the N-word. Why? Because Joey was playing really inappropriate music in the restaurant and would not turn it off when I asked him to. And I didn't say it just then. I was in a position with him where I was trying to be cool. I didn't want to get him into any trouble. I just wanted him to stop the music because whoever the hell it was that was playing was saying NN this, bitches, hoes, wet pee. I mean, like just all kinds of stuff that shouldn't be in Fiddlehead. So I'm in the situation where I'm trying to explain to him how this song is inappropriate. And he's going, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not. And I'm itemizing each word like bitches, right? That's a word that no customer ever needs to hear, ever, 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 over Fiddlehead's sound system, out of Fiddlehead's employees' mouths, ever. And every other word that was in that song also belongs on that list. Stupidly, I said the N-word in its entirety. I wasn't thinking, and then he was like, you said that word, you can't say that. And then, okay, so what I should have done is said to you, I'm in an awkward situation with Joey and I made a bad judgment call. Okay? What's done is done. What you need to understand is that I was actually looking for another job, so this doesn't matter. You guys saved me the trouble. I was actually going to quit next week, so this really is no skin off my back. But I was going to leave you with this video because I'd like to finish what benefit I can provide for your company, okay? So we're going to divide this video into two sections, right? Accounting and investment. And things that are happening in your restaurant that you may not be aware of, okay? Your business doesn't make any sense at all. It's a mess, and you know that. Okay, so I just want to put this to you, okay? According to my fellow staff members, the employee discounts function such that the employee and 5 of their friends get to take advantage of the employee discount if the employee is there, okay? How are you giving away that much merchandise and you haven't paid dividends to your investors? How are you giving away that much free merchandise to employees and their friends, and you have yet to repay your investors? You see what I'm saying? Your priorities are jacked. You got to think about what your priorities are, and you've got to organize your decision-making based on your priorities. You also do a very bad job of recognizing the value of the assets that work for you, right? My resume made it abundantly clear that in terms of dollars and cents, my potential value to your company was enormous. You know, more than Joey will ever be. You know, what you really need to do with Joey is sit down with Sid and figure out how many free sandwiches Sid has given Joey over the last 5 months. And then bill Joey for those sandwiches. Because every fucking time Joey and Sid works, actually Emily gives Joey free sandwiches too. Right? And we'll get to that in the other part of this talk. Right? You know, the potential that I offer you is I can actually, shit. I worked in restaurant finance for 20 years. I consulted for restaurants for 20 years. And then before that, for 10 years before that, I only worked restaurants. I know this business inside and out. I know accounting. I know investments. What was I going to recommend to you, right? What was I building up to you, for you? What did I want to do with you? I wanted to do for Fiddlehead what is called a Regulation D primary placement investment vehicle. It's a little bit wild, wild west, but it's super free, it's super loose, and instead of, if you were to go to venture capital, they would impose these restrictions on you that you would be, Regulation D strips it. There are rules to investing overall to protect investors prevailingly from fiduciary risk. And with Regulation D, and why I say that's wild, wild west, is that there are no rules other than SEC laws, right? But I was in a bit of a snag, right? You could write a Regulation D primary placement investment, totally. They're real easy. You sit down with the investor, you agree to terms, you agree to the investment terms, you write up the agreement, and you're done. You sign it, you get it notarized. Yeah, I mean, you don't even need it notarized. Just exchange the money, and like you're set. You're set. Right. So that was what I wanted to do for you. I wanted to ask for about $300,000. But there's a lot that has to go into this. Like you do need to approach your core group of investors first. You got to talk to your attorneys before that. And before that, you got to do a lot of cleanup in your books. Because right now you don't know where you're coming and going in terms of money, number one. And number two, you've got these different companies. And when money comes due in one and it doesn't have money, you borrow from the other, okay? If your investors don't know that you're doing that, you need to notify them. Do you know what the term co-borrowing of funds means? Okay? You're not doing it. I mean, I don't know if you're doing it. Each of those restaurants is a separate company. It's a separate organization, but I think it's all under one shell organization, and it's all under one. So long as everything's under one umbrella and housed under the exact same ownership, it's fine to move. It's bad business, but it's fine to move money between companies. Okay? But let's say one of those companies has a different ownership structure. You can't do that. You're breaking the law. It's a felony. Okay, so just be careful. When you do what you're doing, when you grab from another company's bank account to pay Avani's bills, just, for my sake, worrying about you, because I care about you, Sarah, just make sure that all your ownership structures are the same. And you're in a bit, legally, you're supposed to notify your investors no matter what if you're borrowing from company A to pay company B's bills, right? And that is what you're doing. I don't know if you realize it or not yet, but all that money that you're moving around in Fiddlehead, from an accounting perspective, you actually have to put that back. That's the next part. You can't just move it. You got to put it back. Those are loans between those companies, and they need to be repaid. It won't do anything to damage you. It's just it's only going to complicate bookkeeping in the interim, in the long haul. It's just from a tidying up your balance sheet perspective and your books perspective, it makes sense to make the companies whole by returning the monies that you borrowed. So there's that. Okay. What else? Go to your lawyers first. Let them know what you want to do, and then go to your investors. Now, this is where you need your lawyer's help, and I don't know what kind of relationship you have with all of your investors, so I don't know how this is going to work. I know that you haven't paid them back, and I know that you haven't paid a dividend. So when you go to them for more money, if I was in that circumstance, I would ask to audit you, right? That's the sensible and responsible thing for me to do as an investor. You have not repaid me. You're asking for more. I need to have them look at your books and make sure that you're running your business properly and that you're not losing money or just I need to understand why you haven't repaid me so far. And I need to understand how this second investment is going to be different and how it's going to generate. I mean, when you think about getting the equipment that you need to automate coffee, right? The whole bean coffee process, and you think about, I lost my train of thought. It's late. Okay. So your core group of investors, if they're serious about their money, they should ask to see your books because they need to they need to understand that your business decision-making up to this point has been legitimate and not questionable before they move forward and invest in you, right? And they need to see why you need that. This is what's really important to clean up your books. We're going to jump out of investment for a second and go back to accounting. Here's what I'm concerned about. When companies don't know what's going on with their money, when they're not, business managers, when you run a business, you need to master two things. Number one, never bone payroll. Number one rule in business, never, ever, 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 ever miss a payroll. You guys did that once while I was an employee, and I heard from the other employees that you did it last summer. I can't begin to tell you. Like, I knew that the whole time I'm talking to you, and I'm racking my brain. Like, I want to take you guys to a bank. That's the right thing to do. I want to take you guys to a bank. I can't take you guys to a bank. No way. Biggest thing that a bank's going to look at, I mean, in exactly the same way that your investors should want to audit you, a bank is going to do due diligence, and they're going to catch that you missed. I mean, I know that you missed one payroll, but another employee said you missed one last summer. Actually, that was Joey. Okay, so they're going to see that, and they're going to be like, this is not good. We don't want to do business with you. Wells Fargo wouldn't do business with you for that. So like, I don't think you realize this. I've been racking my brains trying to figure out how to help you guys. You guys have that awesome coffee score with the Ukraine coffee. Congratulations. You need to have a similar, Grand Slam sales event that actually nets you guys some serious profits. That's ultimately like what you really need to do is figure out how to sell shit tons of coffee. Just tons, super fast to pay for that automation equipment, so you don't have to worry about it, all this investment horseshit. Here's the other thing, right? I don't think you can solicit. I don't think your existing group of investors are going to be real happy with you if you went out and solicited new investment without them, without talking to them first. You see what I'm saying? I would strongly discourage you from soliciting more broadly for investment at this point, unless you get one super rich person who's willing to fit the bill for those machines, right? And doesn't care about the due diligence. Passionate fiddlehead customer, loves the coffee. Sure, yeah, I'll buy you guys the equipment you need to automate. The other option is somebody like Jay. Get somebody who has some capital from their last job, is looking to invest, but doesn't want to just invest and walk away. Wants a hands-on investment opportunity. So they invest and they want a job. Those could be good situations. I don't know how to solicit those. There's not a Craigslist for that kind of thing, So I don't quite know what to do. My calculation was that you guys should really be looking for $300,000 to $400,000 in investment right now in equity. I think you need to generate about that much. I think it's going to be hard for you guys to hit $500,000, but just like when I thought about it, and I thought about the next 3 years and your peace of mind, the resources that you guys are going to need to grow, like a $500,000 loan, a $500,000 investment would put you in a position where you could take that Texas deal, and you could really stretch out and become a national brand really naturally and really easily. You'd be small, there'd be a little bit here and a little bit there. But I don't know what to do with that payroll issue. I don't know how to get you guys through due diligence. And oh my God, that's the next thing. Like, if banks see you moving funds between entities, make sure with your attorneys that what you're doing is legal and not bad. I don't know what your corporate structure is. I just know that you told me that each restaurant's a different company, but I also know that they're all under the same umbrella corporation. I think from an accounting and a due diligence perspective, you really do need to move money back before you ask for more money. Does that make sense? Now, I've been in a lot of restaurants. I've consulted for a lot of restaurants, okay? And I've seen many restaurants in your situation, okay? You're not in a bad situation, but you could wake up one day and not have cash for payroll at the same time your Cisco, the card that you use to pay for all your food deliveries gets maxed out, right? What are you going to do when that happens? Well, usually when restaurants run out of free cash, the head chef starts paying Cisco himself. Just think about that, okay? This is why I want to get you money, because I don't ever want Brad to be in that position. The other thing that I want you to think about, and the reason that I want you to get a grip on everything that's going on in your accounting and master everything that's going on in your accounting, is generally in large shambly corporations that aren't well organized, when it's clear to the staff that management doesn't have a firm pulse on what's going on with the money, stealing starts happening. So, for example, you have a lot of employee theft. It is very, very common for the kitchen to give staff free food. Joey's the biggest perpetrator of that, but it happens. You should not be giving out free food. You're not made of money. If you're not repaying your investors, you should not be giving your staff free food, period. You know, if you're not repaying your investors, you shouldn't be giving your staff and 5 of their friends an employee discount. 1 staff employee discount's fine. The truth of the matter is, I don't think you guys should be offering the employee discounts you're offering at all. I think you should have shift drinks, and I think you should have shift meals. If you come in any other time, pay full price. That's fair. You know? You're not paying your investors back, right? They're more important than your staff. Your staff cycles through. Your investors are with you for life. You're not paying your investors back. It is not a priority to offer awesome employee discounts when they run through your hands like water. Meanwhile, you're neglecting your investors. Your priority, your fiduciary responsibility as a business owner is to your investors, not to your employees. That's why the second point after payroll is get your accounting sorted out. Okay? Employees are stealing food. Employees are giving away drinks. You're not made of money. You're not repaying your investors. There is no reason to be giving free anything until you're paying those people back. Period. Period. Okay? Employee theft. Food. Okay? Discounts. That subtotal discount is going to, you guys, I wish you could just get rid of it. If you put subtotal employee food and subtotal employee retail, and it's a $25 bill, I'll walk out of there paying $6. See? And some staff know how to do it right, but the last time Rowan rung me up, she did it wrong. And I've seen other staff do it, like Tyla, just to benefit their friends. See what I'm saying? You got a big theft problem, and when you don't know what's happening with your money, you also have an opportunity for fraud. The chef could be stealing. Someone could be stealing. But you see what I'm saying? You're creating a huge opportunity for all kinds of theft to go on. Now, assessing the character of Brad, and usually when I look at other restaurants and I see this much disarray, and there is stealing, the person that's doing the stealing is either the general manager, or it's usually the head chef. It's usually whoever is paying for the food. And he starts taking a little bit extra here and a little bit extra there because he knows that they're not paying attention, and he figures he'll quit before they catch him. I would never in a million years expect that kind of behavior from Brad. I think he's on the up and up. I think he's totally on the level. Why on earth would he have moved into the same building as Ivani if he's going to steal from you guys? You see what I'm saying? And as far as my assessment of someone who could be in the position to commit fraud, the only people in the position who are in your company who would be able to commit that level of fraud are in management and in ownership. And I don't think any of you guys are going to do that. So I'm not super worried about that level of theft, but I am, how would your investors feel if they knew that there was a 6-person employee discount? How would your investors feel if they knew that the employees were getting all kinds of free perks that, were under the table? What happens with pastries at the end of the night? Well, if you're Joey, you go around the restaurant and give them away to everybody. you know? Sometimes Joey puts them in boxes. Sometimes he just gives them all away. See what I'm saying? You can't, you literally have no grip on your spending. And I know you don't want to be uncool. I know that you don't want to be like other companies, but like, you got to find an alternative, right? You got to find an alternative that lets you be cool and lets you be unlike other companies, but still allows you to get a grip on what's going on with your money and with all your transactions and with all your resources, right? And at the same time, you've got to do a better job of really figuring out what the hell your assets are and keeping them. The right thing to do for me was to approach you and say, I created a bad situation with Joey. But the right thing for you guys to do is to step back and go, hold on. Brandon has huge financial potential for this company. His experience could really, really, really benefit us. He's a phenomenal employee, and this is a very strange and outsider sort of thing to have happen. Like, we wouldn't expect him to do this. We should talk to him and get his side of this story first before we make any decisions. But you guys just jumped to termination. Okay? And that's fine. I didn't want to be there anymore anyway. It was stressing me too much. It was just stressing me out way too much. Working with 19-year-olds is stupid. They do irresponsible things. You shouldn't give them the keys to the car. They're too young. Stressing about whether or not my Social Security was going to work out with you guys every month. And then wanting to help you guys, but recognizing that everything is so disorganized and the left hand and the right don't know what they're doing. And I had to stop myself and say, okay, I'm trying to launch a company of my own right now. Is it really my responsibility to say fiddlehead? I like these people. I like what it is that they're trying to do, but is it my responsibility to help them? Or isn't it my own responsibility to focus on what I'm working on? So, oh yeah, last thing, okay? You got to get the music situation sorted out in your restaurant. I don't know what the solution is. I would just take it all away at this point. Or just play classical music. That's the most, and jazz, No vocals. What a revelation. Nothing that can offend people. That's the simplest thing in the world. If there's a vocal, don't play it. Okay, there's nothing that's going to be offensive there. Imagine fiddlehead full of classical music. Avani would be beautiful. Flats would be beautiful, swelling with classical music. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. Imagine walking in to Fiddlehead and listening to Miles Davis. That's exactly right. You see what I'm saying? You got to get a lockdown on that because those 19-year-olds are going to gravitate toward Cardi B. Whether or not it's appropriate, they won't care. They're going to want to be cool. They're going to want to listen to it at work. And they're not old enough to make an appropriate judgment about the quality of music in that workplace. And that is a variable that you do need to get a grip on because the speech that's coming out of that Bose stereo is Fiddlehead speech. So when Joey plays a song by Cardi B that's full of the N-word, it's Fiddlehead and Fiddlehead's management that is saying those words to the customer. You see what I'm saying? We so personally, deeply identify with music that when we play it and we want to share it publicly, it's actually part of our speech matrix. You follow? I'll be real interested to see where you guys go. You have tons of promise, tons of potential. I think you do oh, that's the other thing I forgot about. I completely left out quality control, all right? All right, your food, okay? So it's interesting, what comes back? What doesn't get eaten, okay? 9 times out of 10, gluten-free crackers never get eaten. Focaccia totally gets eaten. Gluten-free crackers, most of the time I throw away. Is there any way you can make those irresistibly delicious so that they're always eaten? See what I'm saying? Why generate that food waste? That's just, the customer throwing their money away. Why would you do that for them? So gluten-free crackers. I've had a lot of customers say that the roasted squash soup tastes like vomit. And then your espresso drinks are super. I'm sorry, I know they're your pride and joy, but I've got to nail you on this. 110%, you guys are completely inconsistent. Number one, I know that thermometers give out, and I know that they don't. I don't think that they make really good thermometers for your tiny pitchers, but the truth of the matter is you need to be temping your milk. I can get a creme brulee today, and it'll be 150 to 155 degrees, which is exactly where it should be. Tomorrow, I can get the same creme brulee from the same barista, and it'll be 100 degrees. See what I'm saying? And the latte art will be really inconsistent, okay? Your baristas don't know that this is their friend, right? Right? How do you tell if a drink's okay? How do you tell if a milk's okay? Temping milk certainly is palm and temperature, but you gotta smell it, right? Because there's actually a point that it turns and scalds, and you can smell it as you're going. And that's when the drink is done. Catch it before that point. It'll always be exactly right, unless somebody asks for it extra hot, and what they really want is, scalded milk with their espresso. That's their business. Okay, inconsistent drinks. I don't think the kitchen's inconsistent. I think the kitchen does an awesome, bang-up, super consistent job. I think you guys have the best pasta salad I've ever had. Your sandwiches are so creative, they're just like, you do a really good job in the kitchen. So the next part is community, right? And I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but you've structured fiddlehead so it goes barista, cashier, kitchen. Okay? I think Emily is struggling with closing by herself. I think you see where I'm going with this. The barista and the cashier have a comparatively easy close to the one kitchen person. That one kitchen person is doing so much prep and so much cleaning. And they usually end up staying a half hour to an hour later than the front of the house staff stays. From a fairness perspective, from a community perspective, from a caring perspective, and also from a reducing expense, I think it is completely reasonable, fair, and totally worthwhile that the barista and the cashier, when they're done with their clothes, go help the kitchen with their clothes. And everybody should leave together. There's no reason that Emily, tender, delicate, sweet Emily, is walking to her car alone. Because somebody could jump her. Not in your neighborhood, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't put that kid in a dark, scary restaurant by herself and make her alone for an hour after the staff that already has it much easier than the kitchen staff has it just books. That's fundamentally unequal. You see what I'm saying? You're treating your staff as two separate and unequal entities. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody does it. But you could do it better. All right, what else is there? Good luck with the Kaler store. I was really hoping I could help you open that. I like opening new stores. They're super fun. I'm going to close this with a question. I worked at Intelligentsia in Chicago, and I worked in Aurora in Atlanta, and I've worked in many other coffee shops. an iBarista. I can use your machine in my sleep. I can disassemble your machine in my sleep. I know how to time a shot. I know how to temp milk. I make flawless foam. So why wasn't I a barista? Because I recognized that I could be more valuable to the company if I was a cashier. Your baristas never leave the machine. The cashier runs the rest of the restaurant, except for the kitchen. And I wanted to be helpful. I've made so many espresso drinks in my life that I don't need to prove myself on an espresso machine. And that was ultimately what it was all about, to talk to you. I wanted to be helpful. I wanted to help you. I see your vision. I think it's cool. I want to help you. But I'm not going to. I need to go do some other things. And in the end, that you guys couldn't recognize my value to your company as an asset really demonstrated to me you don't deserve me. You really don't. And that's okay. This is your journey to take on your own. So good luck. I don't expect we'll cross paths again. Be well.